internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset, Taleisn and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show, in a week where the Dragonflight Alpha isn't just here, we are knee-deep in scaly, spiky, fire-breathing, dragon-riding, zone-exploring, dungeon-busting, evoker testing, talent tree scouring, profession decoding, data mining, 9-carat grade A alpha fun times. And with it, not only our first idea of what this expansion even is and what it's all about, but also inklings as to the answers of some pretty important questions. Like, is this thing going to be ready in time for that promised 2022 release date? Have the lessons from the largely disappointing Shadowlands, and holy shit, that's a sentence lacking any sort of nuance that I could talk about at length, but don't worry, I won't, and it's broadly true, been learned? What are all of the new things that we've seen? We'll tell you. And what do you, Taliesin, arbiter of taste and class and good takes and excellent jackets, think of it? And how do you think Dragonflight, the entire expansion, is going to turn out based on what we've seen? And I think that's where we're going to start today, because like I say, the alpha train is well on its way now. Blizzard have revealed a roadmap of planned alpha updates with the intention of releasing a new zone every week for people to play with, as well as a regular supply of new dungeons, talent trees, and professions. Last week in Phase 1, we had the Azure Span, which is basically Grizzly Hills meets the rest of Northrend, and which is almost certainly the single biggest zone in World of Warcraft expansion history. We had our first look at Dracthyrs and Evokers with all the new customization options and abilities and talent trees that involves. We got very basic iterations of blacksmithing and alchemy. We got the new Dragonriding system, which is incredible and game-changing, and I know you don't believe me and you think I'm overreacting, but whatever, 99% of you are going to be sheepishly crawling back to apologize on that one. Just you see if you don't. We got what I think is a pretty early iteration of the new UI layout and customization features, and through the power of absolute hacks, we were also able to run around the hub area of new capital Valdrakken. But that was last week, and this is this week, and we are already into Phase 2 with the Dracthyr starting experience in the Forbidden Reach, a zone which Steve Denuza has said will be utilized for expansion content for everyone at some point beyond that starting experience. We've got blacksmithing and alchemy talent trees, which I'm going to put them up on the screen right now, and let's be honest, if you like what you see here already, right? A lot of us are licking our lips over these bad boys. Oh, and 2 dungeons, Neltharus and the new revamped Uldaman. The Shaman talent trees, which might be the most well received of the Dragonflight talent trees so far. And then Phase 3, probably early next week, will give us opening zone, the Waking Shores. Probably another dungeon or 2, probably another couple of talent trees, maybe some more professions and UI updates, and so on. And that's only the official stuff, of course, because on top of all of the things Blizz put in front of us, there's also all that data mining to be done behind the scenes too. So we've got models and environments and trinkets and tier sets and weapons and stories and bits and bobs about a million other things going on too. And like I say, we're going to do a roundup of lots of smaller details in this episode. And as usual, there are links to our favorite Wowhead articles, which we think you might find helpful in the description of this video. But big picture, broad strokes, given what we've seen so far, what's Dragonflight like? Is it a good expansion or nah? Shall I play? Shall I not bother? I mean, I can give you an answer from what we've seen so far, and that answer is very, very good. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, Taliesin, well, of course you like it, you shilly man shill, hype shill man dude. You would. And yeah, I think that's a fair point to bring up. Not in regards to me specifically, but to everyone who is getting a crack at alpha content right now. Because yes, it is extremely easy to enjoy the alpha for a new expansion and to have a really good time and therefore say it's really good. On some level, we all fundamentally like and enjoy World of Warcraft. Unless you're one of those hate watchers that we get, in which case, hi dad. And even if you perhaps haven't played or been a fan for a while, yeah, obviously a whole bunch of new content to try and play about in, with new features and class changes and zones, which isn't Shadowlands, is going to be enjoyable, and the Hopium blimps are going to soar in their multitudes, which is absolutely fine, obviously, because don't forget, Hopium blimps are incredibly safe. There's basically nothing that can possibly go wrong with that much Hopium all swirling around in one place, because it's honestly no more combustible than any other highly combustible gas. And I completely agree that for an assessment of the alpha to be meaningful, we have to be able to look past the visceral enjoyment of new stuff and be able to cast a proper critical eye over what we're looking at, but also understand what we're looking at. And you'll notice we haven't been releasing shed loads of content since the alpha launched, because that's exactly what I've been trying to do. So allow me to tell you some things that I really love and also don't love about what we've seen of the new expansions so far. And obviously, Blue Bot spoilers from here on in. Number 1, being home. Dragonflight just feels good. So far, we've been able to play around on the Azure Span, Valdrakken, and the Forbidden Reach. And even though I've been playing WoW throughout Shadowlands, not that much in 9.1, admittedly, my time in those areas honestly felt like I was playing WoW again for the first time in ages. There's just something so familiar feeling about these zones and environments and the characters that inhabit them. I mean, there's loads of Tuskar, obviously, so yeah, but also gnolls, who have a new model that everyone loves. They look like approachable pet dogs. What a Looks like some stupid Disney character. Blizzard don't know what male and female is anymore. They follow the genderless woke agenda. Yeah, that's a comment about the gnoll model. And Furbolgs and Kirin Tor and Draconid. New Draconid models too, and if you're the Dracthyr, then the new Draconid models are the Dracthyr that your girlfriend tells you not to worry about. And Elementals, and Khadgar, and Loremaster Stonestep, which is a bit weird because he's been dead since Legion, something I would absolutely flag in feedback, but you know me, I ain't no snitch. And dragons too, you will be shocked to learn, but who you will be pleased to learn look absolutely awesome. Overall, it just feels like the classic fantasy world that you fell in love with, and emphasis on the world too, because 2 is huge. In hindsight, one of Shadowlands' biggest weaknesses in terms of world design was the isolated and unconnected nature of its zones. Being islands in their own pocket of time and space allowed for insanely specific and high concept aesthetics for each environment, but not having any borders with each other, no areas where 2 zones bled into the other, not being able to see across the horizon to a zone that you haven't been to yet, needing to go via Oribos to travel between zones absolutely did make them feel much smaller than they actually were. In Dragonflight, there is a lot of just looking out over beautiful views and vistas and open, relatively empty space that feels real and exciting, waiting to be discovered in that RPG way that WoW's Afterlife found it much harder to replicate. Azure Span is incredible on its own terms, but I'm really looking forward to the Onaran Plains opening up in Phase 4, with its vast open spaces lined with secluded green dragon groves. I've flown over it when I was hacking my way into Valdrakken. I've far-sighted through it on a Shaman character. It just really looks like my sort of thing, you know? And I know it's a meme that Azeroth just keeps sprouting new, previously unknown and unmapped land masses every expansion, but I am a huge fan of whole new continents and the consistency of place that comes with them. So yeah, Dragon Isles feels pretty nice to me. 3, Valdrakken. It's a capital, it's a hub city, it's also an entire zone. It's the opposite of Oribos, just like Oribos was the opposite of Borealis and Zuldazar. But I think as a central hub, this new capital is going to go down as a stone cold classic. Genuinely. It's got some of the most beautiful architecture I think I've ever seen in this game. It's brilliantly populated with interesting NPCs and world building. Stony Tony is there, so we're all going to be very safe. It's got an auction house, but the real genius of Valdrakken comes in what I like to call Crafter's Alley, a split-level marketplace area with workstations needed for making stuff with those new crafting professions placed around it, and slap bang in the middle of all of those, the only place in the entire game where you can place and pick up work orders, which means that Crafter's Alley is going to be absolutely buzzing all of the time with players and activity as characters place orders for themselves or their guild or whatever items they're in need of, but mostly with crafters logging in to pick up those orders, then heading over to their respective workstation to fulfill those orders, where, don't forget, the mere act of crafting will automatically basically change them into their profession-specific gear while they craft. It's going to be awesome. People are generally just going to hang out there anyway, whether or not they want any orders doing. The first raid is just a short dragon swoop away from it. There's a massive bronze dragonflight area hidden behind some rocks, which, I don't know, is that just part of the questing? Is it going to be some cool Caverns of Time thing? Or is it just the most ludicrously over-the-top great vault door that they could possibly think of? Honestly, I'd be happy with any of those explanations. Perhaps the thing I like best about Valdrakken, though, is the placement of it. High up in the mountains and basically bordering every other zone on the Dragon Isles, which means that a lot of standard play sessions in Dragonflight are going to begin with an awesome dragon ride from the capital into whatever zone you are heading to. And that's good because dragon riding is incredible. Don't know if I mentioned that. I don't need to talk about how brilliant the new dragon riding system is. We released a video dedicated to it last week, but I completely understand if you watch that video and you're still basically unmoved by the idea and don't really care and think that I'm over-exaggerating its importance. And the reason I completely understand that is because it's how I felt before I tried it. And dragon riding always looked okay to me, but didn't ever rank as a feature that I was genuinely excited for, so much as I just basically hoped Blizzard didn't dick it up and end up ruining the entire expansion, you know? And if I had watched, like, a Bellular video insisting that it was brilliant in the same way that our video did, yeah, I would probably have taken it with a pinch of salt. So I do understand, and frankly, my job isn't to convince you of anything, so instead, I'm just going to make a prediction. If the dragon riding system doesn't undergo any major changes or downgrades from what it is in the alpha right now, then in the days after Dragonflight releases, WoW Twitter and forums and other social media is going to be wall to wall people just creaming about how they love dragon riding. You know how, like, after Legion released and every tweet from everyone you saw was just a screening of their character brandishing their artifact weapon triumphantly? It's gonna be that, but just, oh my god, dragon riding is amazing, Taliesin was right, this is so shocking. Because I think for many people, like with me, it's not going to be until you actually get hold of this new transport system that you appreciate A, how really cool and fast it is to control, but more importantly, B, how it changes the basic fundamental minute-to-minute gameplay of WoW for the better. And there comes a moment when you're questing and you suddenly realize, oh man, this actually makes the game more fun in ways I never even thought of. And it's weird because it means Dragonflight currently has these two different vibes going on. The back to the old school familiar Tuskar, big trees, big zones, cozy welcome home expansion, but also the wow, this feels modern and new in kind of a massive way expansion too. That modernity helped by 5, the Dracthyr. The customization options for Dracthyr are obviously off the chart, and even though I think the general community opinion is still that, you know, we'd like at least the option to look a bit more like the Dracthyr she tells you not to worry about, it does seem that the more people actually get into the alpha, the more people are a bit more won over by the general look of them. But as a class, Evoker feels incredibly modern, with its outstanding mobility for you and your party, charged abilities and skill shots, very bursty damage, and general, like, the word I tend to use is muscularity when you're playing it. Like, it just feels really muscular in terms of how you press the buttons and stuff. I don't know. I've had a good chance now to test out both the DPS and healing specs, and I really enjoy how front-loaded it is, weaving between short cooldowns and essence spenders with very little ramp up. But I have to say, you notice the 25-yard range on Evoker abilities compared to the standard caster 40 yards. It's short. There was one particular boss in the updated Uldaman where it was actually a real problem, and in raids you feel like the heavy positional dependency of this class might just make it incredibly challenging, especially when it comes to healing. Maybe one reason why Evoker's group utility appears so massively OP right now. So I can't say how sure I am yet about the big picture viability or usefulness of this spec, but I can confirm it's very fun to press buttons, which is a good start at least. Like, even if you're not going to main it, pretty much everyone is going to enjoy picking it up and running through the starting zone. And when I say running through the starting zone, I mean soaring through the starting zone like an absolute boss. A thing I didn't love the Neltharus dungeon, which was fun enough in terms of enemies and layout, but just seemed a bit dark and one note visually. It's only available in normal right now, so I couldn't really tell you if the bosses are interesting or not, but the final encounter sees you rummaging through Neltharian's treasure hoard for specific items to bust the boss's shield. Like I say, it's normal, so it lasted literally seconds and it's hard to tell, but I think that interesting sounding thing I just described is what happens, I think. Uldaman, though, is a whole other story. A new, shiny version of the classic dungeon with new bosses that makes it just different enough to feel new. It's got one massively overtuned boss, which is the most fun I had testing these dungeons. It's Uldaman. It's an absolute winner, obviously. People are going to really enjoy it when it goes live for pre-patch, and maybe they'll enjoy those tiny winding corridors in Mythic Plus too. Who knows? We'll have to see. Another concern: talent trees. Now, this is a weird one because it's a concern I have despite the evidence, really, because the talent trees we've seen so far have generally been really good and well received. Shaman wasn't an absolute shit show, which frankly I am amazed by. I had money on that. There's always Monk, though. You won't let me down, Monk, will you? Hunter is probably the only one that people really have an issue with, which is frankly a relief. And as a system, it has been really fun to play with in the alpha. I still just can't help but worry that there will be a couple of trees that people absolutely hate and which completely take over the entire conversation, just make everyone angry, and I won't be able to relax from that fear until they're all testable and everyone is at least reasonably happy with them. Likewise, professions, something I am still worried about despite the evidence, which is showing us deep, complex, but largely interesting and satisfying systems, kind of in line with exactly what we'd hoped for. Multiple talent trees specializing in different areas of craft, and I don't know if I mentioned it, baller profession gear to boot. Feedback on these systems has been really positive, with so far no real red flags. I don't know, I just will always suspect that professions in WoW will never really be what people want them to be. They'll never have the depth and rarity and endless grind and craft potential that people want while they are connected primarily to player power items. I just can't help feel that for professions to really be as deep and specialized and in constant demand as we all want, player housing kind of needs to be a thing. But that's a whole other conversation. So far, blacksmithing in particular does look genuinely cool, and like I say, I think the work order system based in Valdrakken is going to be a really great social experience. Something else I'm really happy about: 6. Blizzard's communication so far in this alpha. We've already seen a complete roadmap for alpha release schedules with selective, focused testing in different areas. But more than that, alongside the usual batch of dev interviews where, man, can someone please buy Ian Hazakostas a taller chair? Like, he's been doing a really good job these last couple of weeks, working the circuit and saying some very important things, especially in terms of design philosophy, like how account-wide things like Dragonriding unlocks will be, and the supposed focus on a more regular content release schedule. All very good to hear. The man deserves to sit high and proud in his webcam as he does so. I'm a parent. I think we've got a spare booster seat around here somewhere. We are willing to send it over, is all I'm saying. Just let me know your address, Ian. But as well as those interviews, there's also been some really illuminating blog posts over profession stuff and class feedback. It has been really heartening and good to see. So yeah, I am currently very happy with the state of Dragonflight Alpha and what we've seen so far. And obviously we haven't seen any endgame day-to-day world gameplay yet, but so far I think there is a distinct lack of Warfront or Covenant-shaped red flags, and there are genuine game-changing elements to this expansion which just, I don't know, they seem to have a lot of love in them. There's a real sense of care in the content that we've seen so far. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, I think we've just about got time for a roundup of some cool other alpha stuff that's cropped up this week, like the tier sets for the first raid, where everyone basically looks like a Gundam, but like a rock Gundam. That's cool. We've got a video looking at those on our second channel, Taleisn and Evitel TV. Go and check it out. But there's also the PvP sets using unique designs for the first time in a few expansions, which in itself is pretty cool. There's some new dialogue that has been added to Stormwind after completing the intro quests that will eventually lead you to the Waking Shores, where Greymane and Shaw discuss the several years that have passed, returned from the Shadowlands, which, does that mean we've had a time skip? It replaces some different dialogue from the first alpha build, which suggests that it could be maybe for later on in the expansion, or maybe for new players going through Dragonflight content as they level for the first time next expansion. It could be, and honestly it's highly likely, that it'll never make it into the game at all. Or it could be a time skip of several years, which you'd imagine must be for a pretty important reason that at the moment only Alliance players will know has even happened, since there's no Horde equivalent dialogue to tell the majority of players of this game about the several year time skip, which I love. Keep it that way, please. One thing's for sure, whether it makes it into the live game or not, the community has read about it now, so loads of people are going to consider it canon even if we never see it in live. Get ready for some vicious arguments online. Can't wait. There's the promise of a return for a group loot option for organized raid groups only in Dragonflight, which is going to be extremely popular, and the new gender options for character creation, which at the moment mean the two body types for each race have been renamed Type 1 and 2, a meaningless and even quite weird change in isolation, but we've been told that this will go live alongside other options to also choose your voice and gender, as in how other characters refer to you separately. A pretty standard thing that basically all modern RPGs do. So I mean, fine, yeah, you can call it virtue signaling or woke if you want, but bear in mind that means you have to call Elden Ring woke too. And you gotta ask yourself, is Elden Ring, is woke virtue signaling really the hill that you want to die on? We did have some hilarious shitshow comments for this bit, but honestly, I think we all deserve a break from the shitshow this week. For most people, this is just more options that they might never even use, but for many people, it will be really meaningful. So I'm completely behind it. And anyway, if nothing else, it now allows you to create a female dwarf who everyone refers to as a she, and with a female dwarf voice, who has a massive off beard, and that, my friends, should be reason enough to celebrate, frankly. Alpha, Dragon Isles, it's here, it's all scaly, and it's all sunny, and it's all huge and hilly, and, right, yeah.
The dragons.
All of it, everything is. So we're having a bit of a wild time at the moment, because as well as sort of Dragonflight Alpha launching and updating many times, as well as the secret alpha that we got, so we could make some videos before it even came out, and having to somehow keep quiet about that. My God, I had to like...
Oh, you don't even know what we had to do to keep him quiet.
I had to stay off of like just social media, the internet.
I had to change our password.
Basically,
delete every app.
It was so hard because like I unplugged my computer so it wasn't connected to the internet, so I couldn't tell anyone. But then I realized I couldn't play Dragonflight Secret Alpha without being on the internet. It was so difficult. My life has basically been so hard. But also, we've got a wedding this weekend, which means this video isn't quite as sort of polished, perhaps, maybe, as I'd like to be. And of course, we're in the middle of a move. Like, there will be other weekly resets before we move, but we're basically in the process now. So, like, gradually, you're going to see stuff just disappear from the back wall, and, like, you know, maybe scaffold and stuff.
Yeah, boxes and things will appear while other things disappear. We have, like, variable childcare over the coming weeks as well. So, there will be babies, children.
No one wants to hear about our babies and our childcare situation.
No,
no one cares. But what it does mean is, like, we will have a new place, obviously, with like you know, a whole new set and all kinds of things. It's gonna be absolutely incredible. Can't wait. Exciting. Yes. You're here now, so we want to hear what you think. Have you got Alpha for a start, or are you not important enough?
Excuse me.
Well, I don't know.
The day after, I should have gotten it because I forgot to fill in the form. Thanks, Blizz.
There was a little moment back there.
Like, where are my 2 alphas?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are my multiple alphas? Anyway, it's so good. I mean, I blew like hours just sitting in character creation, as you know.
Is that basically your criteria? It's like, how good is the quality of a game is directly proportional to how long I spend in character creator.
I mean, there's some truth to that.
Do you know what? It didn't sound so stupid when I said it out loud.
No,
like in my head it was like a joke, right? Exactly. And then I actually said it, and I was like, oh, hang on, yeah, obviously.
But beyond that, I have had a chance to dip kind of in and out actual gameplay, and it feels really fun.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you've said it already, but I think Dragonflight, it's easy to be excited about it. because one, dragons, right? Like,
Well, you'd think so, but every time I say it's easy to be excited about and Dragonflight's really, really good, loads of people online, whether I'm streaming or on like Twitch, Twitter or whatever, who haven't played the game are like, no, Taliesin, I think you'll find it's incredibly boring.
I'm kind of with you in that when things started being announced for the expansion, there was like a little flame, like a little flicker, and I think I was a little bit hesitant to get too excited, as a lot of people were, because I think people are feeling cautious, which is completely understandable after Shadowlands, after a lot of stuff, right? And I think it's normal to be a little bit more skeptical. But since the alpha has been released, since kind of more features have been coming out, we've been getting to play with them a little bit. It's like that little flame is just growing a little more. I think because I'm letting myself be more excited. And yeah, I logged into the character creation screen, and then it kind of like, I like ignited.
It's true though, she did. I did.
I spontaneously combusted. Well, I'm gonna struggle with only being able to have one.
On each round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be hard for me. Or I'm gonna spend a lot of time at the barber.
She's not lying, because like literally when I was like, her computer broke for a bit and I had to fix the computer, and I was testing it, and I went on your WoW account to kind of like just test it, and I've never really noticed before, but your WoW account is like a hunter, a priest, a mage, a priest, a mage,
yeah.
a priest, a mage, and a hunter.
I have a type, okay? I have a type. We all have a type.
Various different levels.
Some people play, some of them are in Horde. We all play this game differently. Yeah, I definitely have a type. I mean, it's going to be hard leaving my hunter behind for a little bit.
You say that like you're going to make Evoker your main?
100%.
Wow, that's
If there's room for me on the raid team, how many evokers are we going to...
I think we have a real lack of evokers on the raid team, so you might be doing a good call there. Yeah, I mean, who's going to want to play the new literal dragon flying class, right? No one. I hope Evoker is completely OP. I love it when a new class is OP. It's one of those things that people like worry about, and they go, I hope it's not overpowered. I hope it's not. I'm like, yeah, get people playing it.
It's a hero class.
Make it over. Yeah,
a little heroic,
make it overpowered for a bit. I don't mind. I don't care.
They'll tune it eventually.
If they get like 20 evokers in the race to world first, so be it. Live with it. I don't mind. Who cares?
I'm sorry, I just love the whole idea of like dungeons and raids of like dragons fighting dragons.
It has been really fun.
Like it feels good. And even just watching you do some of the dungeons before, I was like, yes.
So you okay with the evoker look then, overall? Now that you've sort of been in there?
I'm into it. I mean, when you see a whole like dungeon group made of dragon folk, like they do look a little bit samey. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, everyone has the same shape and silhouette now. So I wish that there were almost like two quite like drastically different kind of silhouettes, at least for them, for Dracthyr. I'm looking forward to trying out the talent trees and actually putting some thought into them, because I am quite happy to go ahead and like look up a Wowhead and Icy Veins guide and be like, okay, I'm gonna min-max this, and here we go. And that's just so I can focus on other things in gameplay. But I do want to tinker a bit with the talent trees and give them a little bit more thought and experimentation, because it does feel like right now it has some potential to be a fun system with some pretty cool variations. Marksman looks okay, I think.
Have you had a chance to wander around any of these zones yet, or have you seen them?
Just the Azure Span.
Sure.
Just little bits of it. And obviously I've had a peek into some of your streams as you've been like hopping around doing the world tour. I had to have a sneaky look.
Yeah.
I mean, they look good. They're going for a thing, right? Which is like, this is familiar. This makes you think of dragons, and dragons we've done before. Kind of like comforting. Wow.
There's something so comforting about it.
Yeah.
Like genuinely. And who would have thought that you could find such comfort in what is basically a throwback to Kata, like I feel like BFA was a real throwback to like the RTS games. Really, it was constantly referencing Warcraft 1, 2 and 3, and putting stuff together like that. I feel like Shadowlands did try and throw back to Wrath a lot, but I'm not sure how successful that was really in the end. Like Dragonflight definitely has a real kind of Cataclysm and Mists feel as well. I always think like the kind of the classic age of WoW is vanilla, BC and Wrath, and then you've got kind of like the middle age of WoW, which is like Kata Mists, and WoD, which kind of straddles the Middle Age and the New Age, the modern age of WoW. And the modern age of WoW is definitely like Legion BFA Shadowlands in terms of how the game is built and what it feels like and what it's kind of aiming to do. And this does feel genuinely like a new age, you know, it's the start of a whole new bunch of stuff. You know, you can really kind of comfortably group those expansions together, and they, you know, you can see why they're in groups, and this feels like a new group.
It does.
And that's kind of awesome. I mean, it could be terrible.
It could, but it does feel in a lot of ways, in style and content and kind of in aims, like a bit of a reset after Shadowlands, which people have wanted. People are like, let's just start again in some ways.
Shadowlands felt like it was kind of resetting a lot of the kind of the systems of the modern age of WoW, but within the context of those systems. You know, whereas Dragonflight seems like it's kind of just, it's moving on. It's moving on to a completely different thing. And so far, it's easy, right, in alpha to be excited, right? But like so far, it feels awesome and feels modern and fresh and comfortable, and God, that's all I want, man. That's all I want from, like, it's simple. I'm a simple man, right? I want WoW, but good. What color dragon you going for?
I don't know. I mean, I've made one that was kind of like a really dark, kind of black, bluish, greenish.
No, I mean to ride. Oh, 'cause, like, you made your infinite dragon. Which is like very dark with contrasty bright, kind of whitey blue.
For my riding dragon. Oh God. It's going to depend on my character, and it's going to depend on what my character looks like. It's going to depend on what color my visage's eyes are. And then that then is going to determine the color of my Dracthyr form, and that it's going to determine what color dragon I ride.
That was more thought than I was expecting put into that, honestly.
There is a system.
I look forward to when because we've got plans for the new set, right?
We do.
And the new house. And patrons, like, it's the good time for patrons right now. Right? Is when we're moving house, and, you know, we'll have lots of videos kind of saying goodbye to the old space and moving into the new space. You know, it's video-rama for the patrons when we're, like, setting up a new office and stuff. I love that. So, you know, we've got big plans for the new set, and kind of like a almost like podcasty setup really there for doing this bit and the sofa bit and things like that, and other content besides. But we are going to be kind of up in the air for the next few weeks. But there will be regular streams and regular updates on this channel as well, and regular weekly resets. But just for the next couple of weeks, they might not quite be as polished as we would like. They're never as polished as we'd like, but even less so.
And we're not going to be polished either. I'm going to be like, just haven't showered in a month.
Trying to think of a rude joke to make there. They are polished. You're always polished off. Right?
It's true.
I mean, thank you for being here. If you like this video, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their actual real life money, like every month still, to make all of our work happen. And it wouldn't without you. Thank you. There'd be a whole lot less Taleisn and Evitel. And if you didn't like this video, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Preach Gaming. He got an alpha.
Did he?
Yeah, there was big drama because he didn't get an alpha for like 2 days.
Did he in the
But then he did get an alpha after about 2 days.
Well
so I'm glad that all the drama happened. Energy well spent, community well done.
Anyway, I hear a baby.
Me too.
I gotta go.
From me, Taliesin.
And me, Evitel.
And the Nyrin and Penny as well. Cheerio.